Hey everyone, welcome to Tech Down Over. I'm Rick Zanotti, and I'm joined today by my good friend, Jeff Blanchard, coming to us from Down Under. How you doing, Jeff?
Good, thank you, Rick. Yes, staying in and trying not to spend any money when we're giving all that time to look at online and find things that you want.
That's
Fortunately,
true.
you can't get out to go to the shops to have a look, so that's stopping me, so that's good.
I know. We're still all stuck in stupid mode. But anyway, we're joined today by Harold Muliati. He's off camera right now. He'll be joining us in a moment, and here we go. This show is sponsored by Relate Corporation. Digital learning development, media development, corporate video, management consulting, and more. Visit us at www.relate.com. Thanks. And we are back, and joining us is Harold right there in that central position of responsibility and accountability. No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure, no.
He was expecting power.
Now the screen's just got to go black. So.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, by the way, if you're interested in good music, like the one we just played in that little ad, and some of the stuff we're playing all the time, go join Artlist. By the way, we're not getting anything for this. Just go join Artlist. It's pretty good. For $200 a year, you get a ton of great music. And remember, when they don't have a lot of small clips or short clips, but remember, you can edit your music and make 20 clips out of one. So have a good time. Enjoy it. Artlist is a lot of fun. Definitely a good company. They put together good stuff.
Yeah.
You should put the link down the bottom, Rick, because you'll get some extra time. Because they also offer as well, if you like it and then put a link to it, you can get extra time from them. So
really? We can do that. I never knew though, because we're not affiliated or anything.
No, but if you put your link down, if you get more than 10 referrals or something, you get a free account.
Oh, interesting. So 10 referrals. Got it. Do we even know 10 people?
So you go into your account and it says the referral code. So you just click on that. So and then when the people who click on your account, they get an extra 3 months on their subscription or extra month on their account as well. So you get the extra time. They get the extra time. After about 10, you get a free account. But one thing I like with them, like you said, with the music, it does have the thing so you can find the shorter clips as well. They do have that one on there. The only problem I find with Artlist is songs are so nice, I ended up just sitting there listening for hours to the music.
Some of them are really good. Yeah, I mean, these are professional musicians, and they do some really good stuff.
So I ended up not doing anything but just listening to the music in the background because I thought, gee, that's really nice. And there's just so much variety, but I don't think you could go past that for that amount of money, because what do you pay, about $80 for a decent clip from somewhere these days?
Yeah, you could. I mean, usually it's somewhere between probably 20 and probably $100, depending on where you go. Like if you go to Premium Beat, or Premium Beat's not cheap. I used them for one thing. It was good. The quality was good, but I think I paid like $30-40 for just one track. And it was okay, but I thought it was a little expensive for what you got. And Artlist has just about everything you need. We haven't really found too much we couldn't do. Though it cracks me up when you go to like business or corporate, you get...
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, it's all Apple Music. It's just awful. It's like, oh gosh. And people like that. They want it whistling and happy and da-da-da-da-da-da.
It's funny, though. It's a bit like when you get into video editing and whatever, when you do a few effects and that. Now I start listening to things and I can say, that's an Artlist song. Or I've heard that.
Yes.
Hear all the ones. And all those, especially the cheesy ones, like you said, though. So, there's that one again. But you don't notice it. It's like in the early days of PowerPoint, you'd always hear
everybody had the same stuff.
Sound effects with doing the windows in, and they used all those sound effects.
Yep.
I'm sick of that. So.
Yep. Follow the herd. There they go.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So anyway, you guys still in lockdown?
Yes, we are still in lockdown. They're talking about maybe easing up. Probably.
Australia has 2 sick kangaroos and no one else. I don't know why you guys are in lockdown. We were looking at the numbers. Australia's numbers are like 0.001.
Because I think they've had that. But then again, I think one of the things that we're fortunate with us, which is the borders. We're out in the middle we're out at the bottom of the thing. There's a huge ocean between. It's very hard to get to us. But all the rest of the place, no matter what.
No, but even worldwide, the numbers are minuscule. It's a joke. To destroy economies for this is an absolute joke. Hate to say it, but I'm sorry for the people who have died. But from what they're saying, they have no idea what they died from because there's no test that's accurate. At best, it tells you had a pulmonary problem, a respiratory issue. Okay, well, that could be a flu, a cold, or anything else. And they're saying that so many public health institutions have just put COVID, you got hit by a car, COVID, you got shot in the head, COVID, you got attacked, COVID. So as a result, we're not getting any real numbers. It's all BS. And yes, people are dying, but it's the same people who would have died from probably the normal flu. And by the way, in the U.S., we've had the A, the B, and now the COVID flus mostly at the same times. So it hasn't, our numbers are not that much higher than they are during a normal bad season. In fact, they're lower than what we had in the, 2017, 2018 period, where we had about 70,000 die from flus. So all this for something that happens every single year. It's irritating. And the social separation is such a bunch of BS because it doesn't do much. This is not an airborne pathogen at all.
I tell you one thing, I'm quite happy with that because now I can quite happily say keep your distance.
Leave me alone.
Sometimes people don't
wait a minute. This is a Helen Reddy issue right here. You're in Australia. Leave me alone. Won't you leave me alone? That was her song. Leave me alone.
Now, when you're on the footpath and you see somebody and you walk across and see him on the other, that's quite acceptable now. Whereas 6 months ago, how dare they? But I still feel a bit funny now when you move off a bit. You just feel a bit still because you're so used to saying hello and just walking past. But when you make a big circle to keep that distance, you do feel a little. But I think some things are going to come out of this as well. I know it's bad. That, but we'll obey the rules and do all that. But I think if they obey a lot of the things they've implemented here, just for normal things like where I go to visit my mum, they've implemented these things. But I think they should have done that all the way. Like in an old people's home where I see my mother, they should check temperatures for fever and that for even the normal flu season because that makes it bad. But then people say, the washing it. Well, you should be doing that anyway.
So on the other hand, your mom's been there how long? 4 or 5 years?
6.
6, and she's perfectly okay, and nobody's done anything before. Huh?
But the thing is, that's the thing. But as I said, still, I would make sure that I wouldn't go in there with the cold. But it's the sort of thing I think that we should obey a little bit more, like even with travel. Just have that little common check to people, because so many people can come and go, and they've got real bad feet and just waiting to infect people on other sorts.
Yeah, but that's the small minority versus the people who just want to get everybody sick. But and today American Airlines said if you want to travel, you must wear your masks. I was going, give me a break. Sitting on a plane with a mask on, you're going to die of hypoxia or something. You won't get any air inside of you. It's just insane. I'll go fly somewhere else unless they all make you do that. At that time, it's a boat. I don't know. I don't like wearing the masks, any mask. I feel like I don't get enough air, and it's just.
I think that's just. I just think that's American feeling hopeful that people are wanting to fly.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But putting somebody in a plane where you're stuck and then putting masks on them, people are going to suffocate. The air is rarefied on a plane enough as it is. So
even before this, it was all whenever you considered travel anywhere, no matter what it was years ago.
It sucked.
But you always knew I'm going to get something on that plane.
But that's a myth. You realize that's actually more of a myth because planes have only about 4% humidity. Most viruses don't survive in that level of humidity, and usually it's not transferable. The air in a plane cabin recycles about I forgot how many times per hour, but it's like 20, 30 times an hour. It's actually very fresh. It's just very dry. So as a result, it doesn't feel fresh, but it's constantly recycling air. They even said you probably have healthier air on a plane than you do in many other places. But there's that stigma that, oh, we're in a plane. Ugh. And they said if somebody coughs, at most they may get the person in front of them a little bit or maybe on the side, and that's about it. It doesn't really travel very far, and it depends what you have. Most of these things are not airborne. Colds are not airborne unless somebody coughs right in your face and your mouth is open. That could do it, I guess. But, so there's a lot of myth and a lot of things about how people get sick and why they get sick. And I think there's only 3 things that get you sick from an airborne pathogen, and that's Ebola, I think smallpox, and there was one more, and I can't remember what that one was.
One that's used a lot as an example is measles, because it has
measles.
It has a really high
yeah.
airborne
measles, smallpox, and Ebola.
Yeah,
and that's it.
The thing is, I was watching something about the Ebola and that, and they just said, yes, it's quite deadly, but it's not so much of a problem. They said because the people die so quickly, they can't infect people.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really nasty.
And that's why
when you get it, you just can't move around.
So it's also hard to infect people because you have to be very close to them, and the Ebola doesn't last long in the air. It dies quickly. So it's nasty, but there's a good chance you won't get it, which is good because it's a nasty one.
I was used to thinking about the planes again when in the old days where they had the smoking and the non-smoking. And I'd say my seat, so this is when I was a smoker. I was a smoker and the people in front went, so how did that work?
It doesn't work well, yeah. Well, also, I've been on flights when I was younger that the air in the plane was blue from the smoke. It was so bad. I'm in a non-smoking section, which was small, and it didn't matter. You couldn't breathe. I don't care how many times they recycled that air. There was the smoke was that bad. I was on one flight where the captain said, turn off the cigarettes. We cannot breathe in the cabin. They were getting so much smoke. It was getting into the cabin. It was like horrific. And thank God, that's one thing I do appreciate. Nowadays, you can't smoke on a plane, period, and that's good.
It has made the world so much better to go to things, even as an ex-smoker. But as I said, I never poo-poo people who want to smoke because I thought I never wanted to be one of those ex-smokers who go, well, it was good enough when I did it. They can't stop or whatever, but I stopped because of the inconvenience. And people say, oh, is it expensive? I said, no, I was quite a bit lazy. I couldn't be bothered bring out ways to go, where can I go and have a cigarette, and planning out, oh, no, I better go there because I can't have a cigarette while I'm waiting in there. I can't. So I just, it was easy to give up.
Well, also, also right now, it's expensive as all else to smoke. There's so many taxes on a box, at least in the U.S. What is it? I don't know what it is. It's like $5 or $6 for a pack of cigarettes?
You're joking.
It may be more. It may be more.
You're living in Wonderland. I mean, you $5 or $6 a packet.
Am I too low or
about $38 a packet here or something?
I don't know. What is it here? Do you know, Harold?
I don't know, actually.
I don't know. I have no idea. What? Let's see. Can you do a search on how much does a pack of cigarettes cost? I'm curious.
I remember when I was a smoker. The last time I was a smoker, it used to cost me, and this is 1998. I think I gave up. Cost me about $60 for a carton of 200 cigarettes.
Ooh, 60.
But that was 200 cigarettes. Now I think a pack of 40 cigarettes costs you about $38 here. So.
and it's mostly taxes.
So it looks like here average cost is like $6 for the pack, and a tax of on average like $4.30 or something.
So $10 a pack?
So it's, I guess, a lot less than there.
Wait a minute, $10 a pack?
Yeah, something like that.
Ooh, $10 a pack here.
Oh,
which would be about 20 Europe where you are, or less if it was from here.
How much?
Probably $1.50. $1.50. No.
It would be like $16 Australian.
Maybe $15 over there. Wow, that's expensive.
I'm sure ours is about $40 a pack of 40. So it's probably about a pack of 20. Probably, I don't think they sell the 20s anymore.
Oh, they don't.
It'd probably be about $20 or something on this.
Oh, okay.
Just trying to figure. figure out, see what it is on.
And yeah, I think what I was looking at was for a pack of 20 here, so it would be, I guess, a little bit less. Not a huge, not quite that huge of an amount less, but.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't disagree with that, because the only thing I disagree, because I was a smoker, but everybody's trying to say, yes, you should be giving up. Well, why, if it's so bad and that, why did the make it legal? Like we've got with the trouble at the moment with the lockdown and people. They should have banned cigarettes years ago. That would have been an easy, without stopping the economy, and they would have saved so many. And I would have abided by that because I'm a law-abiding citizen, and won't do that. Wouldn't have done that anyway. Anyway, let's change subject. What have we got? What have you been looking at in tech this week? Anything?
Nothing. There's nothing new other than people talking about things coming out soon. But nobody's really talking about a lot of new stuff because I don't think anything's easy to get right now. Darren Miles did a good episode this week, and he said, "My beloved Nikon D750. That's the one I used to love too. In fact, he recommended I get that one, and I did." He goes, "It just went out on me. It died. I had something like 800,000 activations, and it's dead." He goes, "My beloved camera. So now what do I get?" I looked at Sony. I looked at Canon. I looked at Fuji and maybe Olympus. What do you think I got? And then he does a quick break for something. He says, "Well, I actually got a used D750 brand, almost like new." So he got himself the same 5-year-old camera because he loves it. He goes, for pictures, it's great. Video, not too good. It wasn't that great for video. But for pictures, it really did take nice pictures. And the only reason I got rid of it, I just didn't want to be in the Nikon world. It didn't appeal to me that much. We had 2 Nikon cameras that were good, and we sold both, and that was nice. That was the end of that. But yeah, I was surprised he actually went back to another D750 because even though it's 5 years old, it was still a damn good camera. And it was probably one of the best that Nikon ever came out with. And it was innovative for its time. Autofocus wasn't great. It could have been better. And Canon never did have like a dual pixel autofocus on that one. And video was mediocre. It wasn't great. They didn't have a lot of video features. And I just thought, and Nikon being financially, not doing well at all, I just figured, nah, I don't want to go there. It wasn't where I wanted to go. And I got out of a Canon, but I'm kind of backing Canon. I still like Canon. I never hated Canon. I just hated what they did. It's like, why can't they just be normal and put out a camera and don't cripple it? Cripple hammer. And quit competing against yourself. If people want a camera you have, they'll get it regardless of what the price is. If they want an expensive one, they'll get it. If they want a cheaper one, they'll get it. So why are you limiting people because they want certain things?
I'm sure if they put like you said, put a cheaper version there, and then they'll say, "Here's this one, but it's got extra this and extra that, but you'll pay for it." I'm sure people would do. And
like for example, we have a C200. It's a nice cinema camera, but it takes really good video. It's not a picture camera at all. It's not you could take stills off of it, but it's not really what it's for. And, it does a certain job. It doesn't do what a Canon Rebel will do. It's a different price range. It's a different bracket. And it's also not a DSLR because it doesn't do what a DSLR does. So they're different. Why cripple a C200 on certain things because it competes with a DSLR? It makes no sense. They're 2 different groups, and the ergonomics are totally different. So, those are kind of simple things. Last week you motivated me big time, Jeff. I went back and I unsubscribed from about 3/4 of the podcasts I had, and it feels so much better now spending an hour a night going through people I like than 2 to 3 hours trying to get through everybody going, I hate these people. It's like, why do I listen to this person? He's a buffoon. It's like, so it actually works. It saves time, and I've narrowed it down to the people I actually like or the companies I like a lot faster.
And what I've found, though, with deleting a lot of them, just subscribing just to a few things start popping up that never would do before because there's more room. It starts testing new ones. Oh, I've never seen that before. Yeah. And because you tied up with all the ones it knew you liked, it says, well, let's try him on this one. And I seem to find a few more interesting things popping up than I did before. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, just one thing. There's just been some really 20-minute, 30-minute documentary type things that's been popping up, and I've been finding, gee, that's really interesting, and subscribing to those ones rather than just the normal, tech review things and all that.
Yeah, I saw one documentary last night. I have no idea how I got subscribed to that one. Maybe I wasn't, but it was interesting. It was a gal, what was her name? Annie Anderson, maybe? And she wrote a book on the paperclip project, which was how they smuggled in 1,600 Nazis, scientists, into the U.S. between 1945 and 1950-something. And they brought them into the U.S., incorporated them into big companies. Some of them created their own companies. Some of these were very dangerous war criminals. They were really just sickos. And we let them all in. And you just go, wow. And she talked about it in her book. It was really quite fascinating. I was going, oh, gosh, we have no ethics in this country at all. Zero. This is none. The excuse was, well, if we didn't get them, the Russians would have. Oh, yeah, of course. That makes sense. So...
Looks like that was Annie Jacobson. On Operation Paperclip, and we'll link that below if you want to check that out. That was
actually fascinating. It was a very fascinating talk, and she documented well. And I had a neighbor. I'm not going to mention his name right now, but he was probably Paperclip, and he was a pretty cool guy. I liked him, and we got along well. He was one of the creators of the hard drive. He was working on that project. His name was Fred Curtis. That wasn't his German name originally. It was Friedrich something or else. I can't remember his name right now. But he most likely was part of Paperclip because he came in through Mexico, like a lot of them did. He claims he got caught at the border. They all were given special stories to tell and documentation and everything. But he got in. He went into education first. He was a professor of engineering. And then he worked at some major companies, and again, a major researcher, very smart guy. He's passed away already. They said all of the Paperclip people are dead. They're close to 100, a lot of them, or high 90s, and they're all gone by now. But he was a fascinating guy, and I'm pretty sure, I would bet money he was Paper, because he always looked like the kind of guy that had a secret. And you go, I wonder what a secret is. We never knew, and he carried himself like he probably was an officer or something. It's just sort of interesting. But that was a really good documentary by her, and I was going to watch a couple minutes, and I watched for the half hour. I was like, this is fascinating.
Yeah. And that's when you know how good they are, when you see something you see, oh, gee, this goes for 48 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then 47 minutes later, God, I'm still watching it. And you don't realize it. And it goes so quickly, you think, whereas if you see something else, 48, that's going to go on and on. Because what I can't stand these days now is watching a thing and the first 5 minutes to start promoting the thing that's supporting them, and it's like a 5-minute commercial, and you think, I don't want just, yes, it's sponsored by, just like, I don't mind Tony North, but it's sponsored by Squarespace, and then they get on with it. They don't spend 3 hours and then they might have a little thing. Yeah, that's fine, but I don't like it when they start doing like a little documentary on the product and then think, what did I click on for? Oh, and then you think, I can't remember, click off and do something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I got rid of a lot of subscriptions that I've been watching for years. I go, I really don't like these people that much, right? They're not that relevant. And I go, I got rid of just a lot of them. And I think I'm down to less than 20 now. And it feels good. I had like 60.
And the thing is that, it's not hurting, because a lot of the things I found, I was never watching them anyway. And like, I think it hurts even their algorithms. If you subscribe and don't watch, it hurts them a bit. So you're actually doing them a favor.
That's true.
Unsubscribe, then the 50 people that are subscribed, if they're watching, they'll get better rankings. But if they've got 500,000 people subscribed and 50,000 people watching, it says they must be rubbish. So they put them down the bottom because they said content is worse. So you're better off to unsubscribe to support somebody if you're not watching them.
That's funny.
Yeah, because it's basically determining that at some point they did something interesting to make people subscribe, but what they're currently putting out is not interesting to people anymore. Yeah.
And because I had one of the YouTubers I saw that he said he started a new channel. He said because he got so many followers, but he said then they didn't always watch. Oh, yeah, they watch every now and then, but it was taking him down.
Interesting.
So please unsubscribe if you don't watch it all the time.
So
because
you can't win on you can't win on YouTube. I'm actually totally disgusted with YouTube. And by the way, YouTube, if you're watching or listening or transcribing, quit censoring people. It's really tacky. You're censoring. Nobody made you a censor, and you're offering a public service, and you're censoring information that you deem untrue. Sorry. Doctors don't deem it untrue. And this is regarding COVID and everything. There's a lot of doctors who are being censored now for saying the truth. And it's just wrong. I think what's going on now, since nothing really happened with all this, which is kind of BS-y, nobody wants to admit they overreacted. So they're going to keep it going as long as they can to just prove that they were right. They weren't right at all. But
I said, if Harold was, Harold should have just blanked the screen there for a second, just to
but
and then
yeah,
don't
say it. We're gonna get. But they have. They've been blocking. They've been censoring any and everybody. I mean, some of these are very respected people. They censored Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles because a company they work with and themselves have been doing surgeries on quote unquote maybe COVID patients by using a high frequency LED that goes in and actually cleans out the virus, cleans out any of the bad pathogens. And they said it works. It actually works. So they canceled it for saying something that was destructive, or I don't know what it was. And this is one of the top medical institutes in the U.S. and maybe the world. They do a lot of research, and they get censored for saying something that works, but it wasn't a vaccine that Bill Gates is pushing. Screw Bill Gates. I mean, really, you're dealing with people who are trying to legitimately solve problems, and YouTube censors them.
But it's still what, even though what I find quite strange is over the years it was people had to get TV licenses and had to conform to do it. But with YouTube and now all that, there's pretty much anybody can say anything that they do want. So,
yeah.
And like we have got to the stage really that if it says it on the internet, it's true, no matter what.
I know.
And so, oh no, it said it on Google. Well, and well, I did read somebody was doing one of these TED Talks, and about there was one of these Wikipedia things about saying about somebody, and it says he was born and so, and you know how you can go and change them, and he put something. He says, no, you've got this wrong. I want to amend this. And the person came back says, you're not authorized to comment and update that. And he said, but it's me.
It was
me. No, you're not all. You haven't got the rights. You haven't got the knowledge to.
You do not exist.
But he said that what they were talking was his own life, and he said, I didn't have the right to adjust. So this was a truth, not my truth.
Oh, that's funny.
The internet said it, and it sounded good, but the truth didn't sound as exciting as what they'd put it, so they couldn't change it. So they said, so whenever you see something online, just take it with a grain of salt a lot of the time.
Well, I want to spend a moment congratulating. We did this on eLearn Chat the other day, and this is a Brit, Tom.
Captain
Tom
Moore.
It's Captain Tom Moore, and he is a World War II veteran. He survived. He did well. He turned 100 2 days ago. Oh. No, yesterday he turned 100.
Yeah.
Yesterday he turned 100, and he did a campaign right before he turned 100, about 2-3 weeks ago. He wanted to raise £1,000. Not a lot of money, just £1,000 to help the National Health Service charities, not the health services, but the health service charities, to help them with money during this bad time, and just to say, I've reached 100, I want to help someone. Well, he raised, on his first go-round, £15 million.
Oh.
15 million. And he turned 100 now. And what he's doing to raise the money is he was going to run 100 laps in his backyard. He's got, like, I guess, a big backyard. He's running 100 laps there just to raise the money. So he raises 15 million from all around the world, like 126 countries or something.
Yeah.
Everybody donated money. Well, when you turn 100, the Queen either calls you. In this case, he got a telegram from the Queen for turning 100. And not only that, she sent a Spitfire and a Hurricane from World War II to fly over his house. And he had his hand up in a fist, just cheering. But you know what? In the 3 weeks since he raised 15 million, he's now raised 30 million pounds, and he got promoted by the Queen to Colonel. It's beautiful. 100-year-old, and they had to stop the money raising because he was getting so nervous and upset. It was like, he felt the pressure of that. Well, and he's still running. He runs every day as much as he can and now he said he's done, but he's donated every penny to the charities. And you go, what a wonderful human, And
that's such a big difference to the health service. Can you imagine what difference that 15 million meant to them? So,
but this is to the charities that the health services helps. So this is great. I mean, but what a guy, what a guy doing that, and just selfless. And he goes, in 45 or 44, those planes went overhead as in war, and now they're going overhead in peace. I don't know if we have peace right now, but he was just thrilled, and I think it's great. Now he's Colonel Tom. So and they did something similar over here in the Super Bowl this year. They had a really good halftime show, and at the beginning of it, they had maybe it was at the beginning of the game before they actually went to the halftime. They brought out 3 100-plus-year-old veterans. 2 of them were in wheelchairs. One of them was one of the Tuskegee Airmen, the black airmen that were very famous during World War II. They paid dearly because the U.S. experimented on them. They did all sorts of horrible things to them, but they were very victorious in their fights, in their air war. They were very good, and they never quit. They never stopped. And they promoted him to a higher rank. I think it was like a colonel or something else. And again, the same thing. He was standing proud. They were trying to wear their uniforms. Some of them fit perfectly still. And everybody just got up. The whole stadium just got up and saluted almost. It was pretty amazing to see. And you go, you know what? We don't treat our veterans very well sometimes, but every so often they go that extra step to give them a little respect for what they did. They didn't ask for war. They didn't want to go to war. They did their job. And pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's also pretty amazing how long it's actually been since World War II. That it's, so many of the veterans are,
77 years, I think. Yeah, 77 since 1944.
Well, that's the end of it, isn't it?
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. So then it started before then. So that's about 6 years before then when it started, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we're talking 83. 83 years. It's amazing. And then we had World War I, only a scant 15 years between, less than. So
that always seems like it was forever before, didn't it? But it wasn't very long. But it always seemed like 1915. So much more different than
and now we've had a war on so-called terrorism for 20 years almost.
Yeah, it's just wars change, hasn't it, with technology? Yes. Everything changes. We still have the same problems, still have the same wars, but it's just fought differently. And I think
and the wars today are fought not for war's sake, because most of the time it's all about money. It's fought for Eisenhower said it right. Dwight D. Eisenhower, he said, whatever you do, beware of the military-industrial complex. And he was a general. He was a 4-star general, or 5-star. He said, beware. And that's what we do now. Now we get into wars that make trillions for certain companies. It's amazing. That's our plan. Why can't we just buy preamplifiers, mics, cameras, and have a good time?
Well, I'm just happy that technology hasn't got that far that we can live on different planets all round.
Oh my gosh, we would just spread our idiocy to other planets.
Well, not so much that. It's just that if we didn't, I'm sure we'd have more wars, traditional wars here. Yes. But now the people who cause them can't get away from it. Whereas if they could, they could have their own
that's a good point.
They'd be pressing buttons that said we don't care. But now they can't get away from it. So I think that keeps us in traditional peace. Because no matter who it is, they 800 years ago, they went over there, came back. Nobody could get them at home, but they don't have to leave home. They press the button. Everybody can get everybody. now, so there's nowhere to go for everybody. So we're all stuck here.
Anyway, with that thought, we are actually out of time.
We're over time, I think.
We're over time. But hey, everything we said was important and true. We'll be censored soon.
It's on the internet. It's got to be true.
It's got to be true. We're on the internet, and we've been on for a lot of years. So therefore, we are truth to power. There we go.
It's just don't believe a word we say.
Yeah. Anyway, we got to get more tech going on. There hasn't been much going on over the last, because only now are they starting to fulfill orders again, and things are going back into production.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. If you had $6,000 or $6,500, I'm not sure what it is, would you buy a Canon 1DX Mark III?
No.
Harold?
No, I mean, honestly, I feel like for photos, I think that for the time being, like, for photography, I think the camera I have, the one I got from you, the 5DSR, I feel like that's kind of the ideal camera for me at the moment. In terms of photos.
Hey, and that's not that I don't like the camera. It's just I could think of something else I'd like to spend.
Well, yeah, there's that too.
Well, no. I'm saying if you had the money and you could, just because you could.
Yeah. If I could, but I wouldn't.
I think if I had the extra money and had nothing better to do, I might. You know what camera I want next?
What's
when
that?
It comes out? It's not out yet. Oh, I want one of the two. I'm not sure yet. I either want the EOS R5 or the EOS R6. The 6 is 24 megapixel. The 5 is 46, we think, megapixels. And I kind of think it's a pretty cool camera phone. I'm reading, and also the video looks really good on it. It's 8K video. I was going, interesting. But that's the only thing I have any interest in right now. You know, I love Panasonic, but I just had no interest in getting a Panasonic S1 or S1H. Because of the stupid Leica mount. I don't care about Leica. It means nothing to me.
But I'll tell you what, though, if I had all the money that you could do, I'd love to buy the camera. But what I'd love to do, if you had money to spare, is just to hire somebody to help you. Then you can do some real nice time lapse, set it up, and then you stay there and watch the gear, and I'll go away. You carry and help me carry. But you'd have some, but because friends that just don't want to, they haven't got the patience. But if you had all the money, said have a personal assistant, I'm going to meet you there, take all the camera gear there, and I think that would be
that'd be fun.
If you had plenty of money, and that would give somebody a job, and say, now what are we going to? That's what I would do if I had had the Bill Gates type of money.
That reminded me of a movie just now. I don't know why, but. We were talking about this movie not long ago. I don't know if we talked on this show, but have you ever seen the movie? It was not a hit in the box office, but it's a cult classic. A lot of people have watched it, and it's called The Legend of Bagger Vance, with Will Smith and Matt Damon and Charlize Theron when she was young. This came out, I think, in the I thought it was in the 80s somewhere, but it might have been a little later. But The Legend of Bagger Vance is about a guy who's a golfer, and all of a sudden the bagger, who's Will Smith, comes by, and he's an interesting person. It's a really good movie. It's a lovely movie. And, of course, Charlize Theron, anything she's in, she's gorgeous. But if you have a chance, watch that one, Jeff. I think you'll really enjoy it.
I do like Will Smith. I like his films.
Yeah.
And especially... It doesn't have to be in a funny one or whatever. But
this one's not. This one's more of a. He's not funny in this one, really. Not much.
That's good. That's what I mean. He's good all round. He can play a silly part.
Yeah.
He can do a silly. But I just quite like him as an actor in all his roles. So I'll give that a go, because if I see him in it, I quite often give it a go.
And he's good. He's young in that one, and Matt Damon was good. Which I thought was a lovely movie.
Yeah, I like both of those. So I'll have a check.
And one of my favorite movies still, if you haven't seen this one out in the audience, is Somewhere in Time, with what's his name?
Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeve. Yep.
Yes.
And Jane Seymour. That's another one I love. Did you see that one when you came up to our house once?
I can't remember. I think I did. Yes, I think
we watched that one once. Yeah, it's a lovely movie. Yeah. It's just great. That was one of the. I don't know if he made a lot of movies after that. I think he died not long thereafter in that horrible horse crash or fall. That was a shame. Well, he didn't die during that, but he died. He was crippled very badly
But
from
many,
that one.
it was for many, many years. He didn't die for.
No, he died. He died of natural causes from just being paralyzed for so long.
He did a lot.
But
of
you know what was
for
kind
the
of sweet about that?
paralyzed.
His wife, who was with him forever when they got married, and then he had his accident, she never left his side. And a year after he died, she died.
Ah,
It's almost like one of those real love stories that you just go, ah. And if you watch Somewhere in Time, you'll see what a guy
what
could
it
do
is.
to go back for love. It's just really cool.
yeah. Some of those they're not top-rated movies,
No.
but they're like some of the. I don't know. One of my favorite ones was on Golden Pond.
Oh, that was nice. Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why I liked it so much was because it was Jane Fonda and Henry Fonda
Yep.
about a daughter who didn't get along with her father, and it could sort of like.
And it wasn't probably
plus-
far from the truth.
And it was because his father's getting old, but he was. It was just so
Yeah.
so real. The story of it was so moving. But
And the
that's
relationship between the father and the grandkid, it was touching.
But I mean, it is. But those sort of films were, they weren't big box office. But I mean, even now, if you watch On Golden Pond, it doesn't date. It's got nothing in it that
No.
says this is the time. It's just normal people in there. So
Yeah.
it would still do now. So yeah, I think I might go back and watch that again.
There was
That
another
really-
good movie. I don't know if you've seen this one. It was with Sandra Bullock. What was his name? He was in he was in the modern day version of The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. He was the guy in it, but he was pretty good in this one. I really don't like him much, but he was good in this one. I'm trying to remember the name of the movie.
Boathouse or something. The
Yeah,
Boathouse
something.
or
What was it called?
the Boathouse or something. But she goes and she talks to him in the past or her.
Yes. And the dog
Similar
is in the
sort of
future, and her dog was in
Yeah.
the future. That is a cool movie.
It's a similar one to that Somewhere in Time.
Yes.
That similar type of.
I love that
type of
movie.
thing.
I thought it was so good, and I was going, "What's going on?" And towards
Sandra-
the end, I think we almost got it, but we were off by a little bit. It was a great movie. Have you seen that one, Harold?
I haven't actually seen that one.
It's
No.
a beauty. I think you'll enjoy it. It's got a good story.
Yeah, it came out probably about the same time as what was that Sandra Bullock one that did about the internet? What was that one in the early days?
The internet.
I forget. Oh, she
Bullock
did.
on the internet.
It's quite cool. That's quite a fun one to watch because it's so dated because the
Yeah.
things that they're talking about now. It's when they've got
I'm trying
the
to remember
super
what you
duper-
did on the internet.
Oh no, I forget what it is. As soon as we go, we'll say
It'll come
that's
back.
what-
Yep.
it's one of those things you look at now and say, "Oh God, did we ever have things like thinking?" I've got this machine. I've got this super power machine. It's got 1 megabyte of RAM. You beat that.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen it, but just looking up Sandra
the net.
Bullock internet.
The net.
Yeah.
The net. Okay.
Yeah, it's
The
just
net.
the net.
Did I see that one? I may have seen that one.
Yeah, I haven't
I was
seen
just
that
going to
one.
say, I know it's had something to do
I'll
with
have to check that out.
net.
The net.
Yeah, the net.
Yep.
That was good as well, but it's.
Is that what they
all
were
in-
after her or something?
Yeah, because she does something on the
Yeah,
internet.
yeah. That
or-
was actually pretty good.
quite a good one on that, but I think I'll better watch that again. But I think that will date because it is said that the thing. Oh no, if you do this, you can do. I think, yeah, everybody can do that nowadays, but it's a lot of you just forget how far we've come on different things. I remember when I first got on the internet, and my first version of the internet. Well, there was no pictures; it was all text. All you could see was words.
Yep.
There was no. So you got onto somebody and it told you about things. You logged on to the Smithsonian, it gave you a story
Yeah.
about something. You couldn't see pictures or something.
And
about
you would
some-
go to bulletin boards. And the bulletin
Yes, that's
boards were
correct.
like chat boards, and you could meet all sorts of people and talk about subjects. It was interesting.
Yeah, but it was quite different. Sort of like ham radio, because you log in, see who you could talk to. But I mean, it was so different.
Breaker. Yep.
How long ago was that IRC started up?
Over 10 years.
Yeah, so that was that was a bit later, right?
IRC's been around a long time, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know the date per se.
I guess there were.
I just can't imagine how when I first got onto the internet with the old days with it was back with the Commodore 64
64,
computer. I think
yep.
that was the first one I got onto. But I mean, just to imagine having this picture when me and you are talking together.
I know.
And Harold's got, and I've got 3 pictures. Oh, that would be. That
It's
would
amazing.
be like
It's amazing.
science fiction, like these super duper spaceships. That's
And I
impossible.
I had the Atari 64 version, whatever it was called. They had the Commodore, and I got the Atari one because they had better games at the time. I said, let me see what the games look like. And you had to put cartridges in.
Yeah,
I remember
that's
that.
what,
It was fun, and I bought it because I wanted to learn how to program on those machines. And of course, they didn't last long, so all the programming I learned on it never went anywhere. So it was interesting. I was a business programmer, but I was trying to learn how to do the game programming. It was kind of fun, but it was limited in those days. It was pretty.
And back then though, all you had to compete was with Pong. So anything that moved more than 2 things, we was going well then. So.
Yeah. Do you remember the movie called Silent Movie with Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember they go to they were visiting some guy, I think it was Marty Feldman, and he's lying. No, it was Sid Caesar, I think. He's lying in bed, and they've got the little heart meter, dun, dun, and he goes, "Oh, Pong!" And he starts going, "Dun." And he's in the bed going, "Ah, ah, whoa, oh, ah, ah."
I was just watching, thinking about older movies. Was just a little thing, a little YouTube thing on Val Kilmer, and I just remembered one of his early ones. It's a good one to go and see. It's Top Secret. It's like Naked Gun.
Top Secret was funny.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Before Naked Gun came out, but it was
Naked
so funny
Gun?
that
Was Val
Top
Kilmer
Secret,
in Top Secret?
Yeah, he was the star of it. Top Secret.
Val
He was the
Kilmer?
star.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the main one. I just loved that. Was the first thing where they had Peter Cushing the head on there, and he's got this big magnifying glass that makes his eye look so huge.
Yes.
He takes the magnifying glass away, and he's got this one big huge.
Hey, speaking of that, we're now about 15 minutes late. Later, no, we're almost 20 minutes later. But there was another one. You just mentioned it. What was I thinking? It's one of those thoughts that just came in and just flitted right out. It was something about.
Yes, it was one of those spoof ones.
Yeah, it was. Oh, what was it? Anyway, it'll come back. We better get going. All right, folks. We're almost done, so now you can go back to your Netflix and your porn. Thank you very much for watching this show.
Now we're giving you a few movies that you probably will find.
Go watch
those.
some of those. They're fun.
What can I watch? Because you go through, they have thousands. But if somebody tells you about them, you'll go and watch them.
You remember in Top Secret when they come out of the centrifuge and their faces are pulled back? They had some funny scenes in that.
But it's just because it's all got World War II and all that. But it's just
and watch Airplane. Airplane was fun. The Airplane series, they were pretty funny.
I still think when you watch the film Airplane, you've got to also watch what is it, Ground Zero? I think what's the original film, because Airplane is based on a proper film. Pretty much identical to the real film.
Yes.
Apart from, and a lot of the things you think, oh, this is a silly film, but there's a proper film in the 1956 or something, and it's doing that all seriously. So, I forget, it's Ground Zero or something like that.
Now, if you ever want to watch another stupid movie that's fun, is watched, what was it called? This was Repossessed. Repossessed was Linda Blair and Leslie Nielsen. He's the priest now, and it's the same girl. Linda Blair was in The Exorcist. Well, now she's reprising her role as a mom, and she's repossessed, and he's exorcising her. It's hilarious. It's funny.
Some of those ones are just so fun. You just got to, and in these times, you just got to have a laugh sometimes.
You do.
You just got to think they're probably politically incorrect for the time.
Oh, today? Yeah. We had my mom come over for lunch the other day, and I was playing Dean Martin roasts for her from the old days with Don Rickles. We were laughing our heads off, and Leslie goes, "That's so politically incorrect." I go, "That's correct."
That's correct. Well,
and nobody cared. Everybody had a good time making fun of each other. It was fun.
I mean, the whole point of the roast is totally inappropriate in the first place.
They were funny. They were funny.
Yeah, but you were nobody in Hollywood unless you got insulted on a roast.
That's right. It was a badge of honor. Yeah. Anyway, well, hey everyone, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next week, hopefully with some content on the show. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
That's all, folks.